Welcome to Libtards and Shy. Here, we discuss liberalism and what's stopping its progress, all while drinking way too much Arabic tea, which is called Shy. So, come on in. We just won World War II. The year is 1945.
Okay, sorry.
You know, if that is not the American sensibility after we won World War II, you know that poster of the guy kissing the nurse in the New York parade?
He belched right after that.
And he belched right after it, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, hi, I brought back herpes from Morocco. Yeah. You know, actually, that's where one of the earliest sex education programs in America was created, was because of the GIs and were stationed in Tangiers, Morocco.
And they were just fucking everything?
Yeah, there's a huge STD problem. Yeah. Anyways.
There's a huge STD problem in the military.
Yeah.
They don't wear condoms. We know some people in the military.
They also don't ask for consent.
Well, yeah. We're getting off topic.
Yes, we are. We just won World War II. It's 1945. And a bunch of veterans are coming back to the city of Los Angeles, and there is an extreme shortage of housing. And the city of Los Angeles finds an empty plot of land, and with the help from the federal government, it builds around 6,000 insulated huts within 4 months at today's price of $18 million. Today's price of $18 million. Mm-hmm. Recently, I believe in 2016, the city of Los Angeles passed a proposition in which they took out a $1 billion loan to house the homeless, to build a bunch of units to house the homeless, and it was projected to cost, in today's money, $100,000 a unit. Each unit back then cost around $8,000 in today's money.
Yeah, that
now
sounds more like
right. To build a unit, it's costing $100,000, and then once we built the fucking things, they're now projected to cost around $550,000 a unit. So,
welcome to LA.
Welcome to LA. You know, what the hell is going on? Why is building shit so fucking expensive, even when you adjust for the cost of inflation? What the hell is happening? Well, one of the big things that's happening in this situation is that when you build an $8,000 hut, you can't skim off it. People will notice. And when you build a $530,000 hut,
people won't notice.
People won't notice.
Yeah, there's a word for that.
It's called crime.
Yeah, graft. I think is the graft is a smart
term.
person word.
Yes.
Fuckery is the term I like.
Yes. Or clown fuckery.
Clown fucker. No, it's not funny.
That's not funny.
It's just sad. So it's the tragedy mask.
That's basically clown fuckery is fuckery, but in France.
Yeah.
You know? If this were to occur in France, it's clown fuckery.
It's fuckery with moldy cheese and an old cigarette.
Exactly, yes. And a not so consenting mistress, you know? There is a real plague when it comes to housing in the United States. And again, as Californians, we're going to highlight some of the issues that are going on in California. But here's something that's interesting about this situation. You have a government that historically has shown that it can pull off, that it has the ability to build enough housing to systematically house people that are in need affordably and efficiently. And now we have all this soft costs, or as Bill Maher calls it, bullshit costs. You know, we have lawyers, investigators, environmental, I'm saying this in quote, environmental, like engineering firms that survey the land, and they take way longer than they need to so they can bill the government more. You have contractors,
consulting,
and then of course the mother lode is consulting, which, again, to steal Bill Maher, is like What the fuck is consulting?
No one knows what the fuck consulting is.
Like-
Consultants don't know what consultants do.
Like, does anyone know how to do their fucking job?
Consultants have a 9-minute PowerPoint presentation on what consulting is.
Right.
And at the end, you
Nobody
don't know
knows.
what the fuck's going on.
Exactly.
But you're down $10,000.
You would think that the guy who's, like a construction worker or like a foreman or like a engineer knows how to already,
Yeah.
build the bridge because, we went to paid for his schooling and all that shit. And then it turns out, no, he needs a fucking 20-year-old, or a 22-year-old Harvard graduate consultant for McKinsey to tell him what to freaking do, even though he's been doing it for 30 years. So we have some of the most horrific corruption and graft in the first world. Shit just costs more because everybody needs to wet their beak. Every consultant, every construction worker, every construction company, every developer, every lawyer, every fucking politician. Pork barrel, graft, corruption. This is the sins of the government. This is the sins of the California government in particular. But there is another devil in this story.
Our hands aren't clean in this either.
No. In fact, if we look at the page 15 of the Democratic Party platform, it writes, quote, it says, "That is why Democrats commit to forging a new social and economic contract with the American people, a contract that invests in the people and promotes shared prosperity, not one that benefits only big corporations and the wealthiest few." And then it highlights, it says, "One that affirms housing is a right, not a privilege, and which makes a commitment that no one will be homeless or go hungry in the richest country on earth."
Whoops.
So either camping is not what it used to be in Los Angeles, or
we fucked up.
we fucked up. And it's now time to lay blame specifically for the problem of California. It's to Californians, but this phenomena is not just exclusive to California. It is a nationwide problem.
It's happening a lot in Austin because a lot of the tech people are moving there. And they're becoming the same problem.
And there are a lot of things the Democratic Party fails its liberal base in. There are a lot of things the party fails its base with. But here, I mean, you have places like California where there's graft issues, where there's corruption issues, where there's just a fuck ton of insane, unnecessary red tape, insane amounts of regulation, which, again, I am a New Deal liberal. When I tell you there is too much regulation,
there's too much fucking regulation.
It's not actually regulating anything. It's actually excessive and useless. It is useless regulation. There is, like, for example, in California, when a new building is demolished, you need to do a new environmental survey on the same land. That land's already been condemned. It's not nature anymore. We've built on it. There is no point to environmentally assess the building that we already approved the previous building on. It's time to just build again. If there's new undeveloped land, yes, you have to environmentally assess it. That's reasonable. But these little things, along with consultants, contractors, developers, lawyers, politicians, all of that just ratchets up the price. So you have, this is the sin of the party, but this other phenomena, which, if you've read the title, you know what I'm talking about. It is me not knowing how to mute my own phone.
Fucking dumbass.
It is NIMBYs.
You asked me about my phone.
I asked
is your phone on silence? I was like, yes, my phone's on silence. He's like, Max? I was like, yeah, I know. Jeez.
Yes.
And then you go ding. You fucking NIMBY.
Ding. And then, as hypocritical as the NIMBY is, look, man, I'm Mansoor. I'm never wrong.
He's never wrong.
Ding!
We'll do a whole damn episode about that shit one day, I promise you.
Just all the dings, you know? NIMBYs are basically it's an acronym for Not in My Backyard. There is a big issue going on in California and New York and Seattle, basically all the cities in America where housing is basically insanely unaffordable. And one of the big reasons why is because we were sold on the American paradigm and the American dream in the 1950s when we started building suburbs, that every single white person.
We need a button for that.
Yes, we do need a button for. I just want people to say every American, and then there's a button. It's like white American, white, where every American in the 50s basically was promised that, hey, if you just work like at a factory, like at a full-time job, you can buy a house. And we forget the fact that, one, these suburbs were insanely subsidized by the federal government. Mm-hmm. 2, they were redlined like crazy to keep black people out. And 3, this form of subsidization and the creation of the federal highway system and the building of car-dependent societies bankrupted cities. And so we have basically an entire American ecosystem that's built off people living in single-family homes. And now we are coming, especially in places where land isn't abundant, like in California, where we live in a desert, and there's giant amounts of drought, and there's the mountain ranges in Southern California where you basically can only build in OCLA and IE, and you can only build in the valleys. And so we are coming to a point where we've run out of land. And now there are not enough homes, population keeps growing, and we've finally been called to pay up on the hedge that we made in the 1950s, which is that everybody can own this shit. Except...
Yeah, it turns out that's not true.
Turns out it's not true. And let's just ask a quick survey. Hi, do you make $1 million a year? If the answer is no, then you are never going to pay off or buy a house cash.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Never. And if the answer is yes, why the fuck you listen to this podcast?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Go steal shit from people.
Yes.
Because that's how you got your money.
You fucking criminal. He's like, I wrote books. And it's like, okay, J.K. Rowling, shut up. Get off this podcast.
I don't give a fuck.
Honestly, if she was watching or listening.
If J.K. Rowling was listening.
Yeah.
Oh, please. I'll take that endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have a Patreon set up? Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Hey, J.K., retweet our shit.
J.K.
I love your Harry Potter books.
And your, let's just say your trans policies need some work.
Yeah. Also, the whole Gringotts run by the fucking, what's it called? The elves? No.
The Jews?
Goblins? Yeah.
They're come on.
The sneaky hook-nosed motherfuckers.
Motherfuckers who
Real subtle there, bitch.
Who love coin.
Have the coin.
We basically come to the grips with the fact that it is a fantasy. That every American cannot buy a home. The reason why they're so priced out is because, of course, there's just no more land. And now we're coming into reality, which is the dream.
Rent out of fucking space.
Right. The dream of every family living in a single-family home is a lie. Mm-hmm. And now we come into the problem with NIMBYs. We want to build affordable housing. And that, like in the 1950s, requires federal subsidization, federal involvement, and the development of affordable low-income housing.
Which, by and large, most Democrats and liberals, and I'm going to separate the two,
love.
Drastically. They love that idea. But...
not in their backyard.
NIMBY.
And so, every time it goes to a city where they're about to zone a place for affordable housing,
mm-hmm.
or just not single-family homes, just apartments.
Yeah.
People will say, we need to house the homeless. Yes.
Yeah,
but this neighborhood, this is not the right neighborhood for that.
It'll ruin the neighborhood.
It'll ruin the neighborhood.
Our kids play in the street.
Because
traffic will be increased.
Right. I will see a black person in my sprouts, So, this is actually a fundamental problem that is not just here in California, but happens in all communities, including very liberal ones, in which they say that they want affordable housing, that housing is a right, that they want people off the street and have access to homes, but not in their backyard. And if everybody says not in their backyard, then we can never build shit.
You met my cousin Alec that one time, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dumb guy.
Yeah, I never thought he was bright. Yeah.
He's like Lenny from Mice and Men. If I'm being honest, I love the guy to death, but he's fucking retarded. Anyways, I was hanging out with him.
Let me get the revolver.
And he told me this shit because he's from Irvine. You ever been to Irvine?
Oh yeah, South and
Orange County.
Yeah.
That lovely little place. In 2020, when George Floyd happened, like 24 people protested at City Hall. 24.
Like 24.
Yeah, like 25.
Okay.
A couple years earlier, there was like a homeless encampment they wanted to do in like one of their parks or some shit. That was by a bunch of residential single-family housing. You know how many people showed up to that protest?
Oh God,
A couple hundred. Like 300.
Christ.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And Irvine's not
crazy conservative.
No.
I'd say it's about 50-50.
But when it comes to homeowning,
Homeowning is all conservative.
right? And so you have to look. Yeah, Irvine is a great example. Pasadena is a great example.
Palo Alto.
Pomona. These are all great examples in California. But then even in Seattle, you have suburbs like Kirkland, like Bowling Heights.
Mm-hmm.
These are all famous examples.
Like I said earlier, Austin's turning into that slowly.
Austin is like that. Alexandria in Virginia is
Mostly
like
because
that.
people from California are turning it into that.
Right.
Which Texans do not like, I'm told. They hate Californians.
I mean,
They hate them.
they don't understand that the Californians are gonna come to Texas because of the low tax regulations,
Yeah.
and then people are gonna be like, "Oh, these companies are ripping us off.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna need to have some California policies."
Yeah.
By the way, if Texas swings blue,
I don't know about swings blue.
I think Biden only won it by
Blue-
lost it by a few percentage.
Yeah, but their blue's got like a giant fucking AR-15 in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not blue.
It's not liberal.
It's not liberal.
It's not liberal.
It might be Democrat.
It might be
eventually.
Democrat. Yeah. There is to get back on track. There is a graft problem. There is a corruption problem. There is a public transportation problem that we'll talk about in a
It's
future
big
episode.
problem, yeah.
We'll talk about that in a future episode. And the fact that our cities are all designed for the car. We've subsidized the highway system, which, by the way, has huge racist effects. It completely destroyed black and brown communities. And, of course, it allowed white people to leave the city, live in these subsidized suburbs, and then who's remained in the inner city? People of color, which is why they got ghettoized.
Yeah,
all the
'cause-
money was pulled out.
Because the highway system was purposely drawn like around those fucking communities.
Or over them with no
Or
exits.
over them with no exits, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like in LA, the black neighborhoods, like the 105 and the 110 literally go over them, but there's like disproportionately less exits. There's less access to the road. So you just drive over it like you're in Cape Town in, South African apartheid, and so, or why am I going so far? Just like, in California.
Yeah. Just underneath the fucking freeway.
Just underneath the freeway.
Without the exit.
There is a big problem where we try to build and build and build. And of course, building is now super fucking expensive because everyone steals and everyone's grafting and there's insane amounts of
Everyone's
unfettered
getting their dick
corruption.
wet. Yep.
But even to get these units off the ground, there is a humongous NIMBY problem. There are people who claim to be liberal or claim to be Democrats who directly oppose it. And there's huge resistance on a very local level. And it's very concerted. And so you have Americans who straight up fundamentally believe public transportation is welfare. That's not how the first world looks at it. Only in America do we look at this shit. Only maybe a little bit in Canada do we look at this shit. But there is no understanding of the fact that people think the car is freedom. It has actually been one of the most detrimental and most classist effects on American society.
Car payment's not freedom. Paying for car insurance every month is not freedom.
And you
Paying
can't
for
go
gas
everywhere.
when it's $6 a gallon here
Yeah.
is not freedom.
Anytime during rush hour, you can't drive anywhere.
It's not freedom. Because there are roads. You can only go where the roads take you.
Right. And they're not built for density.
No.
They're not built for
Anyone
density.
in LA fucking knows that.
Right. And so
We've all had homicidal, suicidal thoughts in LA traffic.
it's not only unhealthy and shortens your life, it's also bad for the economy that we've calculated this. We Californians lose millions of man hours
Yeah.
and billions of dollars sitting in traffic.
Heightened racism, too. The amount of racial slurs that are screamed
Oh God, yeah.
on the 405 freeway
Oh yeah.
at 4 o'clock.
I've heard some insane shit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I'm gonna call it the N-word, and I'm not even black.
Yeah.
So
Same.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. By a black guy.
By a black guy.
He's just so fucking fed up and angry with traffic. He just turned me into black guy and then called me the N-word.
I mean,
I was like, yo,
there is many
we need
solutions.
a train.
We need a train, man. There's again, we'll talk about the public transport option in a future episode, but frankly, there needs to be the solution here is you can't expect people to voluntarily lower their property value. What the government needs to do, what people need to do, is collectively give license to the government to use much more forceful tactics.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to not allow local governments to be able to project or to stunt or inhibit this.
This is one of those things where like government intervention is needed to guard us against
Our worst impulses.
Yeah.
Like, we can easily help people around us,
But
except we won't.
And it's understandable.
No, it's human nature. But this is what the point of government is. And so there's many models, and one of the most practical and reasonable models is what was called like the downtown LA remodel. Downtown LA is a very underdeveloped part of the city, but
There's nothing in downtown.
there's nothing in downtown except
Literally empty building.
Right. In the 1920s, all of the train tracks were built to connect the suburbs, which were very, very sparsely populated, to downtown. Of course, there are no suburb to suburb train lines, which is what most people live in. Most people live in a suburb and work in a suburb, and need to go to different suburbs, right? And so the idea is to basically rezone all of LA, downtown LA, so that it could have businesses on the top, apartments on the top, have it be very low parking, very low car dependency, basically tax cars that drive in, like how Stockholm or London or Oslo or Auckland do. And basically
New York does that when people drive in from Jersey.
Right, and basically create a tram system so that people can live, school, work, shop, party, have fun, live life in downtown LA without the need for a car. This is one model. But basically, if you've ever traveled out of the country to the first world, if you've ever been to Turkey, if you've ever been to Europe, if you've ever been to New Zealand, if you've ever been to Japan or Korea, businesses on the bottom, apartments on the top.
Public transportation.
Public transportation.
Kind of works.
And not only do the public transportation metro systems work, they actually produce money for the government. They are profitable. Like the Hong Kong metropolitan metro system, Seoul's metro system, Istanbul's metro system, Vienna's metro system, LA's underground metro system are all profitable. They all cover their costs and make money for the government. I mean, these are systems that can be effective, but there is only one way to fix this. And this is a very short episode, but there is only one way to fix this. There needs to be a cultural shift among liberals. There needs to be a cultural shift among Democrats.
One, stop saying that in my backyard.
First of all, yes, but that's an unrealistic claim. You cannot, our goal shouldn't be, hey, build in my neighborhood, lower my property value. That's not reasonable.
No, but vote for the thing that's going to force you
to.
But
we need to vote as a collective to say, all right, look, we can't ask everyone to unilaterally disarm. It's like, yeah, we have guns pointed at each other. We can't just be like, all right, we're going to pull our guns away. No, we need to come together and decide all of us need to put our guns down at the same time. The way we do that is let the NIMBYs do what they want, but these very NIMBYs need to be aware of what they're doing. They need to be aware of their hypocrisy. And when it comes time for zoning laws or giving the government the power to zone and override local complaints, that's when they should be silent. That's when we should say, all right, let the government rebuild LA. Let the government remodel downtown LA. Let's not get in the way of dense living. Let's not get in the way of public spaces. There's a reason why in Southern California there are no parks.
Yeah, there's too many fucking parking lots.
40% of urban land is dedicated to the car.
Like it legally has to be.
Yes.
For every like square foot you build, you have to have a certain amount of parking.
It is insane. And by the way, these lots are empty. They are empty. They are empty at night. No one lives there. These giant highways we built, they're empty at night. They're only available during a certain amount of time. And they absorb a fuck ton of sun. They absorb a fuck ton of heat.
A fuck ton of space.
A fuck ton of CO2 to produce all this shit. Imagine we have parks. Imagine parks are small, localized. You can have public spaces. These are multiple ways. There's multiple ways of living. And the American dream is a lie. The idea that you can buy a single family home that is a picket fence is a lie. It was only made available because America had abundant land and it subsidized it with socialist policies exclusively for white people at the detriment of black people.
And we ran out of land and we're not doing socialist policies anymore.
Right. So that shit's impossible.
Thanks,
It's why a home in LA on average costs $900,000. It's why a condo costs $600,000,
Mm-hmm.
and it's why a single family, a studio apartment in LA will run you $2,000.
Minimum.
You know, a studio. That means you're sleeping in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
you know, like there is no other way. If this show mainly is a mirror or a doorway to people who are more centrists, but it is a mirror to liberals on how we fail ourselves, or how the party that represents our closest interest, which is the Democratic Party, though it is not necessarily liberal, have failed us. They have failed us with the graft. We have failed them in this. Democratic leaders actively, especially in big cities, actively try to zone spaces for parks, zone spaces for multi-unit housing, zone spaces for affordable subsidized housing, and we step in the way and block them time and time and time again. And the situation will never get better. And the guy who lives in your house, the guy who owns a home, who lives in their house, and the scarcity is driving up their property value, only stands to benefit. Only stands to benefit from blocking people from gatekeeping. The scarcity only drives up his property value.
Scarcity creates value.
And so we need to unilaterally disarm. We need to reclaim the streets, the parking lots, the abandoned luxury towers, and the miles and miles and miles and miles of single-family homes. We need to reclaim these spaces as dense, affordable, livable, walkable, carbon-free spaces for the American citizenry. And that's the only way. That is the only way to be a civil society in the 21st century. We've run out of land. There's too many people. And there's no other way. We'll talk about this in a future episode. And wink, wink, I'm segueing it to the next episode. But we have this diluted sense about climate change where we're not even trying to get rid of the car. We're just trying to change the car. Like, oh, it's a gas car. Now it's an electric car. Now it's a driverless electric car. Now, like, instead of just building public transport, Elon Musk wants to build, like, underground freeways for cars. It's like, we can just build this way cheaper, tried and true public transportation system. We don't need to think big. Like, the whole liberal agenda in America is not big. It's, can we go back to the New Deal and not exclude black people? That's it. That's it.
That's a solid fucking summary of it. Yeah.
Can we go back to the New Deal and not exclude black people?
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Just do it for everyone.
Black people.
Yeah.
That's it. And when I say we need public transportation, we need dense living, I'm not talking about commie blocks. I'm not talking about the Soviet Union. Can we just look at, like, I don't know, London or Paris or Copenhagen or Singapore?
It's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
It's just not the white picket fence to have your kids
and by the way, we
ball
have,
in the yard dream.
Right, and we don't have the same density as Hong Kong. We don't need to live in these tiny, cramped up apartments.
No, I'm not talking like 30-story skyscrapers where you got like fucking 9 people living in one apartment.
I'm talking about buildings that are like 6 to 8 floors.
6 to 8 floors. They got 2-bedroom apartments.
No skyscrapers.
2, 3, 4-bedroom
no
apartments.
Skyscrapers, right? Lots of parks, lots of greenery. This is how you live, where there's culture and young people are able to live together. And then, of course, because there's so much dense living, you have agglomeration of talent, you have agglomeration of culture, you have super diverse living, and then companies and businesses are able to collect talent better. It's better for businesses.
You know how fun downtown LA would be if this shit happened?
If you could just live
There's
there.
like public transportation and you could live there.
Yeah. I mean, it would actually be a city.
It would actually be a city.
Because in America, there are no cities.
Nope. There's a Manhattan. That's about it.
That's Manhattan, yeah.
That's not even a full city.
It's not a full city.
It's a borough.
Yeah. And it's also like in the same city as like Staten Island, which is the mother of all suburbs.
It's also $19,000 and a kidney a month or some shit.
Yeah,
it's ridiculously
yeah, it's like half your kidney, you know.
You need to do a rain dance.
I end with this. If you're a liberal, or if you're a Democrat, and you actually believe the Democratic platform's statement, you agree with it, that it says, quote, one that affirms housing is a right and not a privilege, and which makes a commitment that no one will be homeless or go hungry in the richest country on earth. If that statement resonates with you, and you yourself are a NIMBY, you are in diametric opposition with the very thought process that resonates with you. This is what we call either cognitive dissonance or hypocrisy. And that doesn't make you a good guy or a bad guy. It's why the movement goes nowhere. And for us to make progress, we need to see our faults clearly, because we used to believe this way until we did research. We need to see our faults clearly, and we need to fight for political power so that we can unilaterally disarm homeowners from this local monopoly they have. Because I can't expect a guy to own a home whose property value just keeps going up from doing this to stop. You can't expect him to do that.
No.
And I don't want to punish him for doing that.
Dude, you give me a house tomorrow, I'm a NIMBY.
Right. I don't want to take his home away. I just need to zone the fuck ton of parking lots we have and build some real nice houses. That's all. This is the only way. This is the only way. And if somebody can present me a actual scalable solution that doesn't, destroy the climate or, inadvertently hurt black people, I'm all ears. But until then, let's look at the rest of the first world. They may not be American. Some of them may be French.
Ugh.
But they're not all
That's a full letter
stupid.
in the French alphabet, too. Yuck.
Yuck. Some of them may be French. Some of them may suck. Some of them may have disgusting teeth. But they can't all be stupid.
No.
And that's all the time we have. This has been Libtards and Shy with Max and Mansour. Join us again next week for an all-new episode, and please remember to like and subscribe on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wherever you are and whenever you are, have a good morning, good evening, or good night. What?
Don't wait around till, after the credits. There's nothing weird there.
All right, let me tell you something. I know English is technically not a tonal language, but there are a few words, like Jew.
Uh-huh.
And, it depends on how you say it.
Okay.
Seriously, there's hey, Josh is a Jew. And then there's Josh is a Jew.